So it's hard to believe that it has been almost 13 years since I first started covering this brand in the channel when I started out, Teclast. Their infamous dual boot tablets were absolutely fantastic. iPad screens, they ran Windows and Android. And here I am now in 2025 with their latest tablet from them called the ArtPad Pro. And this has a 12.7-inch size screen, 8 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage. And the screen it has is IPS, fully laminated, and it does have this digital stylus support with pressure sensitivity up to 4096 levels, palm rejection, and that's where it gets its name from, ArtPad, because it's all about having that stylus performance there with it. So I'll be showing you what this tablet can do. It has that Helio G99 chipset, which is not incredibly powerful. It is relatively low end. I'll test out some gaming on this, and I'll let you know how the speakers with a sample sound like. They are actually pretty good in this for such a large tablet. They've got a little bit more room.
So what do we get with the ArtPad Pro? There's a stylus, and this is called the T-Pen. There is a button on it, as you can see. There's got a plastic nib, and I'll cover later on what it's like to use. And it does have 4096 pressure sensitive levels. There is on the side, you can just see there, a Type-C port for charging that. We've got to use a manual, our charger, which is 30 watts, and it comes with a Type-C to Type-C cable. So we've got this full CNC alloy body to it, which is very nice, and this nice matte gray color. You can see antenna lines at the top here. So it does have 4G support, dual SIM, micro SD card, which is really good. And it comes with this protector on the back of it. You obviously pull this off, which is what I'm going to do right now. And there is a screen protector that it does come with. So that comes off, and you can see already picking up a few fingerprints. Unfortunately, that's just what the paint job is like. And then the 12.7-inch screen with that first layer of the screen protector. So there's already one pre-applied. Sometimes I accidentally pull off the whole thing, but if you're careful, you can just pull off that top layer, and it looks like they've put that screen protector on perfectly too as well. I'm sure it's going to be a reasonable weight because this, after all, is a 12.7-inch tablet, a little bit larger, so 671 grams. I don't think that's bad. We have maybe possibly seen a little bit lighter, but it is a large screen, so that is kind of normal there, that it would be weighing around about that kind of weight. Now, it is 8 millimeters, the thickness of the tablet. So it does come with these quad speakers on it. The Type-C port supports 30-watt charging, and no, it doesn't support video out from this, unfortunately. Now, charge time, I have that measured. I'll let you know later on in the video with it. And if you look along the top here, there's this little sticker here, and that is telling us this one's the power button we get because there is another button. You can see, again, those antenna lines and the two other speakers. Now, these speakers, they should be pretty decent, not too bad, because they have a 9cc chamber with them. They're, in fact, dual speakers. Even though it looks like they're quad, they're, in fact, dual. Okay, so a bit bad on my behalf saying that there were 4 speakers there. So they have 6-watt power output, and later on I will have a sample. So I've just removed this, and it is unfortunately not a fingerprint scanning style capacitive power button there that would also scan your finger. No, it is just a standard on and off button there, that power button. Then along here we have another little button that maybe could be confused for a power button, but this is our smart button. So tapping this, I can go into the e-ink mode or into the pastel mode. It's customizable. We have our SIM tray, which takes 2 nano SIMs and a micro SD card. So really good to have the expandable storage with this, and you can also use this as a phone, but it'll be going to the speaker mode if you don't have a headpiece connected. So it's got FM radio on board, but you need to plug in to the Type-C there because there's no 3.5 millimeter, and that's going to act as our headset, and that's how you can place calls. Otherwise, it'll be on speakerphone for those. So these are some extras we don't normally see now in tablets, which is good to have. So using the smart button at the top, it's a little animation that it gives us that you can put it into the ink mode. And so that's the black and white. So it's giving you that paper-like experience, really good for ebooks. And then we have the standard mode, the colorful mode with that super colorful background, and a pastel mode, which is light colors and toned right down, which they say is suitable for comics and graphic content. So you can see it does have some color to it, and that's it doing that little animation thing that it does. and then the pastel colors, so it's not overly bright, saturated. But what I'll do is I'll go back into the standard mode here, and that's where we get that super vibrant background. So to do that little animation, it's a little slow, it's not the smoothest, and here we can see that wallpaper, which is very standoutish. It's so bright. So with the Helio G99, the performance isn't always blazing fast with everything when it loads in. I find you don't want to multitask too much with this tablet because you will notice that the animations will slow down. So the refresh rate with the screen is currently 60 Hz. It will be 90 with a firmware update. For some reason, they couldn't get it to 90 on launch, but that is coming, Teclast has told me. So you can see a little bit about the specs that I just talked about before, previously gone through there. And we have with this the Teclast Art OS. Before they used to use just more of a standard skin on Android. It was almost stock. I mean, this has got some customized icons and whatnot, and then they've got their smart button there. So it makes sense they've kind of gone for something a little bit different. It is based off Android 15, however, which is good. It's great to have Android 15 out of the box. Firmware updates, I don't know. There will be firmware updates. There is a system for that, but major updates to go from Android versions to, for example, Android 16. I've never actually seen that. I don't think I've ever seen it with Teclast out of all these 12 or so years that I've been reviewing and covering their tablets. So a little bit more on the display, that yes, there is a ambient light sensor, so we can have adaptive brightness. And you have your standard kind of themes, dark mode, desktop style is default, and you have also classic. So classic now has made just a very, very minor change there to the docking area. And that is basically about it. And I just want to bring up, there you go, recent apps, because I don't think it's making too much of a difference, that toggle. Not really anything that I'm seeing there. Okay, because now we have, if you go on and use the desktop style being theirs, then you get this little shortcut bar that does pop up. So if you don't like that, then you can toggle the standard style there. The colors at the moment, they're boosted, which is, well, there's a saturated and boosted and adaptive and natural. Now, natural is going to tone that down a little bit more. And as I said, the refresh rate is just at 60 here. So if you've gone from 120 Hertz tablets or 90 Hertz displays to the 60, you certainly do notice it. I'm seeing that with the animations, and things just don't seem to be quite as smooth. So I can't wait for that 90 Hertz update. Performance-wise, I did mention that it can be a little bit slow at times, I feel, and you just don't want to go crazy with the multitasking. And here's the Antutu score, and you can see why. It's just over 400,000 points, so that is not amazing. The weakness being the GPU. That's the weaker part. It gets the lowest score here, and you kind of do feel that now and then. I will get onto a little bit of gaming to see what it can do in this review. So I've got a couple other things I want to show you. This is the update system that it does have. So when they need to, they'll push out bug fixes through this. So at least we've got this, which is great to have. And the battery life, even though it's got a 10,000 milliamp hour battery, because it's quite a large screen at the 12.7 inches, it's not super amazing here. It got a PC Mark runtime, you can see there, of 6 hours and 24 minutes. Now, you can squeeze a little bit more out of this, around about 7.5 hours, and this is at that 60 Hertz refresh rate. So if you're running a refresh rate of, say, 90 Hertz, then screen on time will probably be, I would say, estimating here, about the 5.5 hour, maybe 6 hour mark if you're not doing anything really super demanding on it. Now, the charge time, according to my charger here, the charger that we had running, it's 118 minutes to go from 7% to 89%. Well, it's actually 100. I got a fully charged, but that's the time it told me there. So 30 watts with such a large battery, it's certainly not the fastest time there. In fact, no, 100% was 136 minutes. It took a long time to get that last 2%. Not really too sure why that was. It shouldn't really have been that long, I feel, for it. So the charging time is a little bit of a weakness there. I mean, 30 watts is fine, but I think it needs to be a little bit faster than that, especially with a 10,000 milliamp hour battery. And then the stylus, so that can be kept here at the top. It's got a magnet in there, so magnetically it can stay on the top. It's quite strong, stronger than what I've seen for some other brands. It's easy to knock it off. This is a little better there, and it clips into place. So we have the 4096 pressure sensitive levels. Palm ejection is there, and you can disable or enable the touch with this. And what I'm going to do is just a very quick little sample here of some writing and scribbly writing there from me. So it seems to be pretty quick. Even with the Helio G99, the stylus that is writing to this very basic, not a heavy app at all, very quickly. Now the pressure sensitive levels, let's just give those a very quick test. So I'm going to press very lightly, start to press heavier. And yes, I can see there's a noticeable change. Now I'll reduce the pressure and that line should be getting slimmer, which it is. So it doesn't seem too bad. Now, can it work right up to the very edge? Sometimes there's a bit of a border. No, it seems to work right up to the absolute edge and of the screen there. But down the bottom, no, because I've got the tools there. So that's kind of normal that wasn't going to work. But right at the edges. So stylus doesn't seem bad at all. And great to have those pressure sensitive levels. And I like the latency of it. It does seem quite quick. Now, YouTube does seem to be working fine here. No problems with it at all. And you'll find that scrolling about here, all good. Everything loads in fine. At the 60 Hertz, it's all right. And let's have a look at one of my own videos and what kind of resolution we can set. So at auto, it's 720p. Let's put it onto high. Now, I think high is going to be 1080p only with this. And well, it still hasn't gone out of HD. Maybe I need to go to full screen for that to happen. And all right, no, 1440p. Okay, that's good. So that's the highest picture quality now, which is the 1440p. So great that we're able to get slightly higher than full HD just to make it a little bit sharper. So what I'm going to do now is play an audio track. We'll set the speakers to 100% volume. And even though it looks like it's got quad speakers, it's only dual that we get here with this Teclast tablet.
Step by step, the clock is ticking, but there's no time for regrets. I've been flying from town to town, from London to Taiwan. I've been all around the globe trying to protect your soul.
Okay, those speakers are really loud. So they're 6 watts, and I was expecting them to probably be a bit worse than what they really are. So that's a nice, pleasant surprise from Teclast to have put some decent speakers in this tablet. Then having such a large screen, great for ebooks and PDF files like this. So this is a very heavy PDF file, and I can see there is a little bit of caching going on here. I did kind of expect that. Now you can go over to the e-ink mode or the ink mode with the display. So just go and select that, which is going to be a lot better, the ink mode. I wish that animation was a little bit faster, but there we go. We don't really need the animation or the music. It just should swap over straight away if you ask me. But there we go. Now in black and white, it's just going to be a lot more gentle on our eyes. And multitasking, well, split screen, everything like that is there. So I can decide to run that and split, have YouTube on the other half. So it's possible to do that. Now, depending on the apps that you are going to run, it will take a little bit of a hit on the performance. If you are split screening and you're running a game, then it will make and affect the other applications' performance a little bit there. You do notice it. So just get back into that standard mode with the screen. And okay, here we go. Standard mode. I think it should swap over without that animation. I really do. But there we go. And now back with the normal colors of the screen. As for gaming, Genshin Impact, I've got it on the low settings here, and yes, it is all playable here, but if you want to put it on higher settings, visuals, that GPU that comes with the Helio G99 does tend to struggle a little bit, so that's why I recommend that you keep it on the low settings when you're playing a demanding game like Genshin Impact. But the main thing is, it can play it, and it is still very playable.
And looking now very quickly at the cameras here. So it's an 8 megapixel front-facing camera, and the quality a little bit grainy. The rear camera is 13. There's another 2 megapixel next to it, and not that amazing. I think that most people's phones would definitely take better photos and video than this tablet does. But of course, at least we have the option. We do have the cameras here with this tablet. Now, other things that I didn't mention and have to mention now, of course, is Netflix, Amazon Prime Video. Yes, it is in full HD. Yes, we have a Widevine Level 1 cert with it. So I'll start off with the positives that I've discovered. Screen is very nice. Touch response is good. It's fully laminated. Stylus support is great. Latency is excellent. The palm rejection, not amazing because you need to keep that stylus quite close to the screen. It's about just over 0.5 centimeter away. So if you happen to have your palm touch first, then that will move the page or make a mark when you start to write, especially with handwriting. So you want to make sure that if your app supports it that you're using, disable the touch input, so only the digital stylus is going to be the one that's working there. Now the battery life, it's average. It's only around about 7.5 hours depending on your screen brightness. The refresh rate 60 Hertz is a downside that Teclast knows about. They will be releasing a patch that's going to make it 90 at least, and that will make things feel a little bit smoother and more fluid. Now if you do heavy multitasking on this ArtPad Pro, I've noticed that you will get a few slowdowns. You'll see the animation sometimes just have a few micro stutters and pauses, so it isn't the smoothest of tablets out there because of the chipset. Gaming-wise, definitely not for gamers. Yes, it can play some demanding games like Genshin Impact that I very briefly showed just to give you an idea that it's playable, but you need to use the lowest visuals, and that's going to be with most demanding games, and you really don't want to try and tweak those visuals up because it would just become too laggy there. So you'll see some stuttering with the gaming performance there. Now the speakers were a surprise. They're powerful, they're loud. This is really good. They're 6 watts, and I think they're decent. It's a good sized tablet too as well for that. And the build, the unibody alloy housing is very nice. It doesn't have any creaks or anything. It does not feel cheap. It's really let down, I think, by the chipset. So I hope this model does well. I don't know the pricing just yet at the time of this video, but I've got an idea in my head. And if you look at the description now of this video, you'll find where the pricing is. I've got it in there, or the pinned comment, and a link where you can get this model. I hope it does do well for Teclast because I would love to see them come back with a better version of this. If they can somehow get their hands on, say, a Snapdragon 7 Gen 3 or the Gen 4, I think would be ideal for this. It would really pick up the performance. They could still have the dual SIM support and the micro SD card support there. And it's a shame that there's no 3.5mm headphone jack on this. Would have been really good. So thank you for watching this review of a Teclast tablet finally. It has been a while.